Loss of a mind is a terrible thing, but this time, I think I'll make an exception.
My powers, they're draining. Just like Mazora said they would. A small price to pay in the grand scheme of things.
I should feel relieved, yet my blood still simmers.
Against all odds, we cured ourselves. Free from the parasite, free from the prospect of ceramorphosis. I can hardly believe it. I will not become an accursed illithid. Not to cast any slight on you, of course. Your present form is but a sign of your gallantry.
This victory would not have been possible without you. I will never forget that.
See how the dragons flee you, Boo? Now they know you stand as this plane's protector. But Lae'zel is still here. Will you not join them?
The Netherbrain is dead. To slay a Geich was my sworn duty. I must call out to Tunorath. My ascension's at hand. You are an honorable ally. I thought I would carry you. In truth, you oft carried me. I won't forget it. Silence now. I will speak the right. Vlakith Barnasin. Vlakith Ixaith. Vlakith Trinasaji.
You quiver in spite of yourself. Lae'zel shouts to the astral plane, seeking an answer. And before long, she has one.
A red dragon to carry me to Tunorath. The Queen's covenant is fulfilled.
You look on as Lae'zel soars to an uncertain fate. With the Githyanki gone, there's nothing left but the silence of the city, smoldering, waiting to be rebuilt. You are a Mindflayer. The very thing you sought to eradicate. Whatever self you possess is quickly ebbing away. Your friends and enemies alike are ripe for manipulation. And if not manipulation, then consumption. Soon you will not be able to trust yourself at all. You will be a monstrosity beyond redemption. Or not. Perhaps you are unique among illithid kind. Perhaps you will retain enough of who you are to resist your nature, a rogue mind flayer. Like the Emperor, the risk is certainly yours to take. Will you?
What are you doing? Stop!
You've butchered so many before. Each death a gift to your father. This one, you will take from him. This one is just for you.
Thou flickerest in the dark, but with mine keen eye I hath scried thee. I told thee once that an illithid hath no soul, and yet thou seemest to have something of the spirit about thee. I cannot account for it. How delightful. Tell me, how doth it feel to roam about as thou art now? Transformed. Thou art where thou must be, until thou goest where thou must go. No matter how many eons I have roamed this world and beyond, I am ever surprised by mysteries new and old. I cannot account for thee, adventurer, hero, friend, but I know your story endeth not here. Death itself hath many byways, and thou might yet have a new and different role to play.
Do not be sad, Mindflayer. Even out of sight, Boo will remember you. And I will make sure he reminds me to remember you also.
It will not be without sadness that you depart your friends, but at least they will be safe. Perhaps there will be rats or other thoughtful vermin that you might sustain yourself on. Or if you're lucky, a cellmate.
Thou remainest in thy chains, a hero, sacrificed. I told thee once that an illithid hath no soul, and yet something glimmerest about thee. Something is not lost. Dost thou feel it? The spark of the divine within thee? Or does thy hunger consume thee? As fate would have it, thine is not yet sealed, neither in this cell, nor in the tapestries of all that is and will be. Nor has the ink on the parchment of thy tale yet dried. Till next we meet, remember, thou gave all thou wert to save lives, to reclaim the world from a fate most dire. Well done.
You have thwarted the illithid grand design. You have defeated 3 chosen and a nether brain. You are miraculous. And you have earned the right to live. Your fate will be what you make of it. Now you are your own master. But it seems that Gale's mind is elsewhere.
The crown. It's somewhere in the Geontha. If I salvage the stones, I can reforge it. The power of Karsus would be in my hands. then? What would I do with it once I have it? And what kind of god would I be? No kind the world will suffer for the absence of. And, I hope, there are plenty on mortal soil who would regret my absence. If this adventure has taught me anything, it's that there are things in this world far more valuable than power. You, for example. You're always wiser than me when it mattered most. Besides, I've grown quite fond of this merry band of ours, but I'd quite like to see what happens to it. I'm sure Mistra will summon me soon enough, but until then, I propose we celebrate our victory the mortal way, with a drink in our hands and reckless abandon in our hearts.
I'm not sure about, drink in hand, but I think we've all earned some reckless abandon. How about you? Any thoughts on what's next?
We've certainly benefited from your gifts. It stands to reason that others may do so also.
I honestly don't mind what we do once we get to the... Ow! What the... Oh, no. Oh, God. Well, it was nice when it lasted. Ah! I'm sorry. I have to go.
It seems that's the end of Astarian's love affair with the sun. That'll be hard on him.
We did it, soldier. The city's going to be all right. And so are you. Engine's finally cooked. Held on just long enough. So, how'd I do? We did. Together. And now it's done. Careful! Hot! I never gave up. I did my best. I did my best. It's the one thing I can't beat, isn't it? I wanted to live in my city with my friends. But life is for the living. And I saw... Goodbye, sun. Goodbye, sea. Goodbye,
No, stop. I won't allow this. Karlach, you're coming with me. Back to Avernus. We can't let her die. Not like this. Not now.
You can't.
So, what do you say? Die here now, or live on with the blade of Avernus at your side. Zariel won't touch you. I swear it, Karlach.
Fine. I'll go. Well, with you. But we have to go. Now. I can't hang on much longer.
It's over. And it's all because of you. You, who were destined to become a thrall. Thanks to you, there will be no Illithid Empire, no Death God's tyranny. You have earned your place amongst the legends of the Sword Coast. You are the saviors of Baldur's Gate. You slept like a babe straight through the night, dreamless, thoughtless, and almost entirely free. For the first time, you feel alone, calm. You breathe. Baal may have been your beginning, but he will not be your end. Of all those you killed in your father's name, one lingers in your mind even now. Quill, the dreaming bard. Her death weighs upon you still. A burden you will carry for the rest of your days. But fortunately, you will not have to carry it alone.
Last night was an experience. But I don't think you've changed quite as much as some might think. I'd recognize that vigor anywhere. It sounds like the city's trying to get back on its feet already. Normal life is returning. Which means things are about to become decidedly more difficult for you. Perhaps you could wear a mask. Say you're a leper, or have taken religious vows to conceal your face. I don't know. It's hardly practical, but when has that ever stopped someone from trying to please their god of choice? I would know. It would be too much of a risk, though. One mishap, one busybody, and you could be surrounded by a mob. After what this city's been through, people will scarcely tolerate cuttlefish at the fishmonger's stall, never mind a full-blown Mindflayer in their midst. Do you know what this means? You deserve to be vaunted, adored. Statues in your image should stand on every square. A whole generation of babies should be named in your honor. But it will not be so. All those people you saved, most of them will never know what you did. But you know. And so do I. I'll never forget. I need to get you out of here. It was difficult enough smuggling you in here covered in cloaks. It'll only get worse as normalcy returns. We have. And our luck held, despite everything. But we can't rely on that forever. I won't roll the dice day after day if your life is on the line. I can't. My parents. I need to be with them now. I'm sorry. That would call for an awful lot of discretion, you know. Enough to make even a former Sharan take pause. But after all we've been through, I really should know better than to doubt you, shouldn't I? All right. Let's try. We've gotten this far after all. Just let me do the explaining to my parents. They've been through a lot. I'd rather they didn't die of shock.
It's curious. After all the wonders and monstrosities we've witnessed, waking beside you seems more unreal than any of it. I've forgotten what it felt like. To greet a sunrise without fear of it being my last. Both of us have been blessed with a new dawn. You should feel no shame at the nature of yours. And mine. It's strange. But somehow I woke up this morning and realized the orb feels different. No clamor, no desperation, no hunger. I hesitate to say it, but I think it's satisfied. I'll need to keep a careful study of it, make sure it's not suddenly destabilized by proximity to a rogue pair of nethery sandals or what have you. But I think it's dormant. That's one worry I can leave behind me at least. Whatever for? I rather like this new you. In fact, your tentacular transformation has inspired me to make a little change of my own. I've decided to drop this whole Gale of Waterdeep business. It's a bit pompous, don't you think? Well, now in the company of plain old Gale Decarius, a most brilliant wizard of intentionally limited renown. At your service. Now, I believe this is the moment where I should get to my point, so to speak. I love you. More than I've ever loved anyone, mortal or immortal. And you've proven your love for me in more ways than even the greatest mathematicians would dare to count. That being said, I wondered if you might consider accompanying me back to Waterdeep as a new member of the Decarius clan. Your present condition is that you're the one I love. And your current form is merely a reflection of the depths of your sacrifice. It only makes me love you more. There will be some practicalities to iron out, the guest list, the venue, and we will need to find a very open-minded cleric. I promise we'll make it work. If you'll have me. You will? Oh, thank goodness for that. We'll need time to make the arrangements, of course. Catering alone will need to be quite extraordinary. But that's all to come. The day is young, and there are thousands more days ahead of us.
Hello, darling. I was just thinking about freedom. How I'm free of Cazador. How I have a whole new life stretching out in front of me. And you're... well, what are you? Is the person I loved still in there? I'm glad. Although I'm not sure what the expectations are around, us. Do you still want to be together? As much as I want to, I'm not sure if I can. Maybe it's better if we're friends for now. You're precious to me, and I don't want to lose you, but this is a lot. Perhaps we'll adjust, perhaps we won't. But you mean too much for me to walk away. So would I. And I hope we can find some place for love in our new... whatever this is. But even if we can't, I'll never forget the person you were. I'll never forget what you did for this world. And what you did for me. Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Made a home for yourselves in Waterdeep. Sometimes it isn't clear what he loves more, his research or you. But when he looks into your eyes or up at the stars while he sits by your side, you know the answer. One such night, your reveries are interrupted by an embarrassed apprentice delivering an urgent message written in a frail hand. An invitation to a gathering of former allies, those who stood with you against the Netherbrain 6 months ago. Gale the adventurer has quickly become Gale the academic, but he's all too happy to leave his tower for this meeting.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. Though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute, tonight, fate renews thy bond once more, thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon, wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
One day I'll catch a break. First in my heart.
I didn't expect to be nervous. But seeing everyone here like this, it's strange, isn't it? I feel like I must have dreamed the last few months. Now I'm waking up back in camp with my hair smelling like wood smoke and fallen leaves stuck to my backside. Save it for when we're alone. Anyway, I know it's real. I know we made it. I just wish I could go back in time and reassure the old me that it would all work out. But enough introspection. This is a party. I hope we won't seem terribly boring to everyone when they ask what we've been doing this past while. A cottage in the countryside. They may have been expecting something more. Well, more. True. I wonder if anyone will be interested to hear the stories they told me of my youngest years. It's still strange to think of this whole other childhood I had before Shah. Almost like it's some other little girl. It's fine. Already passed. Shah must have sensed I was enjoying myself. Perhaps. I won't get my hopes up just yet, but in truth it doesn't matter. Her plan failed. I'm happy. I mean, how could I not be? I have you. But enough about Shah and her petty barbs. We're here to see old friends and enjoy ourselves. So let's do just that. Why, I feel better already. Are you trying to make me sleepy? You know how easily I get lost in your arms. Have fun. Just don't wear yourself out too quickly. I'm anticipating a long night ahead of us.
Oh, hello, darling. I
I wasn't sure you'd make it. Yes, you are a very social sort, aren't you? Gale's never been kept so busy in all his days. No wonder his studies are suffering. But such is the way of love, isn't it? I suppose you do. All I ever wanted was for Gale to settle down. But now that he has, I miss him. Yes, I am. And you're a dear for putting up with this cranky old Tressim. I may show my claws now and then, but I hope I never scratch you too deeply. Gale, on the other hand, the way he leaves his potions in absolute disarray. I know for certain he wasn't raised in a barn, but you'd never know it. We must begin our campaign to set him on the straight and narrow when we return home. Now, enjoy your party. You've quite earned it, if the balladeers are to be believed.
My knees are aching. You're quite certain I look acceptable? I can't remember when I last wore something other than my teaching robes. Feels a little odd to find myself in something so unsinged. Sorry, my love. That was a little insensitive of me. May I say, your tentacles are looking wonderfully moist this evening. No finer illithid ever walked the face of Faerun.
No harm in taking pride in your appearance, Mr. Dekarios. Though I do so wish you'd take more pride in that chin of yours.
I won't keep you to myself for too long. But while I have you, I want to say thank you for encouraging me to attend this evening. Teaching at Blackstaff Academy has proven such an unexpected pleasure. Sometimes I find it hard to tear myself away. Just one of the myriad unexpected ways life has delighted me in recent months. Even my own city feels new to me, now that I share it with you. That you do. I've not had so much fun in Waterdeep since my own days as a Blackstaff apprentice. I'm just glad you're happy there. When we met, our lives were rather different, and being here this evening, well, reminds me how much has changed. When our adventure began, our troop had no more in common than the worm in our brains. Standing here, now, I no longer see the people we were. Frightened, desperate, alone. We changed. We survived. And we did it together. I've missed them. I've missed this. No, no. I prefer the warmth of my library's hearth these days. But the feeling of adventure, I confess, that I long for.
Now, Mr. Dekarios, we've spoken about this. You really must find safer pastimes for your own good and mine too.
I have been dabbling with the idea of capturing our adventures with humble ink and parchment. It tales enough to fill a few good volumes. And when the truth runs out, who knows? My quill might take us on further adventures yet. Now, much as I could spend an eternity in your company, we see plenty of each other already. Tempting as it is to keep you all to myself, we'd be terrible company if we didn't mingle for at least part of the evening. I love you. Now go on, before I change my mind. Oh, my knees are aching terribly.
Hello, darling. I wasn't sure our withered old friend could live up to his promise. But here we are. At least I assume it's you in there. It's a little hard to tell. How have you been since, everything? I think of you too. I wish things could have gone differently. But, well, no use dwelling on it, is there? I've taken a turn as an adventurer and hero. It turns out no one actually cares about murder, as long as you murder the right people. And apparently I'm rather good at it. Let's not get carried away, darling. I'm still me. Perhaps more me than I've ever been. Hardly. Good people don't spend as much time lurking in the dark as I do. You know, it's funny. At first, I thought I was trapped by the shadows, cursed to live in them forever. But in time, I realized that darkness is as much a part of me as my fangs. This is only a curse as long as I refuse to embrace the shadows. So, I decided I would. I decided not to be defined by the choices other people made, by what other people did to me. My past may be done, but my present, my future, they're mine. This is who I am, in all my glory, for better and for worse. And to you, we've had quite the journey, you and I. From the moment I first threatened you, I knew you were someone special. Someone to take on the world with. I will miss our time together. But then again, maybe this isn't goodbye. So much as it's, see you later, darling.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more. Just as I hoped they would, more like. The Oak Father has been kind to me this past while. Yet I cannot forget the bond we all forged together. It is one that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day. I always do. Should I ever decline, assume a doppelganger has taken my place. That was more than worth the wait. How thoughtless of me. Come here. There it is. That is what I've been missing. Now, we have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing. Please, spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see. My charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake. Ha! You would ask to be tucked in next. But whatever the intrepid adventurer needed, I would have been glad to provide. I am all ears, though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image. A touch bleak, perhaps, but considering the amount of orphans in my audience, I'm sure they'll manage. I can make something palatable with a little showmanship and creative license. Thank you. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else. On occasion, but I prefer not to interfere. Francesca of the High Forest is Archdruid now, and by all accounts, she has proven to be a steady and wise influence. Even Korga may yet find true balance, thanks to her influence. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together. My greatest purpose and greatest reward. Those children have been through more than fate had any right to cast at them, and yet they go on as resilient as anything in nature. I impart what knowledge I can to them, yet, in truth, they teach me far more. The land we saved is theirs, and they will cherish it, I'm sure. Thaniel and Oliver shall never want for friends again. You are welcome whenever you like, and for however long you please. Quite often. They come and go as they please, but with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods, as far as I'm concerned. I spend half my days in ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago. I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be. As did I, but somehow I feel like I no longer need to roam. That I have found something worthy laying roots for. Amazing what can be discovered about oneself, even at a ripe old age. Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this. Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company. Oh, I am well aware, trust me. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on, enjoy the festivities.
All this stimulating conversation leaves you hungry. To speak is not enough. You wish to explore the brain of your friend with your beak. Every time Halcyon speaks of balance, your thoughts cannot behave. You only dream of what cerebellum tastes like when it sends the signals to his vestibular system to keep him from wobbling. This is highly illogical. There are plenty of other craniums awaiting your suction. And this is a prize ally. And besides, the hypothalamus in this brain before you is secreting. The hormone of love is swelling somewhere in this skull.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God! He wasn't kidding. Withers, you mad bastard! You brought me back! Soldier! It's really you. Oh, I've missed you, man. Like, I've really missed you. And you're so tentacly. You can't miss it. So shiny. Haven't seen any Mindflayers anywhere in Avernus, I must say. Never thought I'd miss them. War's a dirty business. But having Will around has been incredible. Fucker's even better at killing devils than yours truly. We don't have much time to chat, but just knowing he's there makes all the difference. Oh, but hey, guess what we found? Cambion dropped a map with directions and blueprints for Zariel's own private forge. A fucking forge! Our current plan is to get in, grab a smith, and force him to fix old Rusty. Or maybe give me a brand new model that can live outside of Avernus. You haven't seen the last of old Karlak yet, soldier. You don't need to ask, soldier. I won't be in Avernus forever, you know. Can I look you up when I'm out? Please. You know me, an absolute beast on the battlefield. I'll be fine. Probably. Gods, is it good to see you again. To be here, together. Hard not to get used to it all over again. This won't be the last time. I promise.
It's good to meet again.
Why is the night air always sweeter?
Looking for attention. Well, now. You can make yourself presentable when you have a mind to. Your higher form has brought with it some higher manners, then. Ah, how nice to be understood again. I have spent the past months bickering with builders and bankers, all to restore the city exactly as it was. Same twisting alleys for purse pickers, same wooden buildings ready to get burnt by next year's dragon, same cisterns overflowing, huh? An empty throne, thanks to you. The city will not be long in burying it. Baldurians simply get on with it. Stubbornness, civic spirit, plain stupidity. Perhaps all three, but nothing I will sniff at any longer. Harpers have come from half the world over to lend aid. Farmers, masons, healers. My own son, Jord, has been wooed to their ranks. Already he plans crop cycles in Worm's Crossing. Not so for my daughter. Ryan's rejoined the Flaming Fist. Temporarily, you understand. To organize the craftsmen. Though she spends more time locking up comrades for pocketing aid funds. They might learn a thing or two, if they don't expel her. Again. I suppose I am. I tried to steer them clear of my life's work, but they have chosen it for themselves. There is still much to do. People to house, a Harper network to rebuild. I may have little love for this city, but so long as my family chooses to serve it, I can do no less. The Harpers welcome any into their ranks, so long as their soul is willing. You've proven you have one, Mindflayer or no. I have lived many lives. It is only right you be allowed to live another. Take this. There is, usually a ceremony. Reciting of oaths, singing of songs. I'm sure we'll get to all of that as the drinks flow. For now, I give you only the most simple Harper creed. To look for the light, and watch always for the dawn. But to enjoy the night while we have it, huh? Be well, cub. We will speak again. But first, I must inspect the refreshments. You'll never know. Some ne'er-do-well might have tampered with the wine.
Aha! You see, Boo? I told you our friend was near. Ah, breathe deep, Boo. The smell of heroes sings from every stone in this place. To meet again where your journey began, my friend. An honor. For Minsk and his hamster both. Oh, and for Happy also. Yes. Honored, of course. He is not a guest, but your newest follower. It is just this day that Happy learned of your legend, while we gazed down upon the very city you saved.
He dangled me from the high hall, upside down, for 2 hours.
The guild should not go creeping in high places if they do not have the stomach for them, It is well for Happy the strange portal appeared when it did. Minsk's arm was growing achesome. So I have. Though it is a peace made more from blade and boot than it is any sense of brotherhood. 9 fingers forbade any looting of the Illithid's fleshy vessels, and so Minsk guards what remains of the battle site, even from her. But where Minsk might once have thrown any sneaking scoundrels from the tower top, now I tell them of you. How you ruled the wickedness within. How they might do the same.
Yes, I'll rule it. I'll be better.
Though, of course, it is still for Boo to decide if they live or die.
Oh, gods.
But enough, my friend! I cannot tell your tale if I do not know the whole of it. Minsk and Boo would know where you have been, what you have done. Boo has been admiring the sheen of goo upon your slimy form. He says it twinkles in the starlight. Now, halfling, Boo will not have you embarrassing him in front of his friends, so you ought to know the rest of the company you keep. Will Ravenguard, the blade of frontiers, devil-horned and angel-hearted. Astarion, who is banished by the sun itself for fear his Spanish soul might outshine it. We visit him much down in the dark places, though he often moves his lair without remembering to tell Minsk where. Gale, the man who would be a god, but then thought better of it. Boo thinks better of him for it too. Shadowheart, 2 gods tugged at her soul, but she managed to keep it all for herself in the end. Wait, Boo, did she do something with her hair? Halsin, Archdruid of Arch... somewhere. He is a much better man than he smells. And there, the champion of the Hells herself. Karlach Demon's Bane, Devil's Bane, Merkul Ball and Bane. Once the guild is made of goodness once more, Bull shall scratch the Hells wide open and find a way to bring her back. And finally, Jahira. If this is a name you do not already know, then not even Boo can save you. Study them well, sneak thief, for the best among them will be a guide for your guild. Heroes who put the city before themselves, who never falter in their duty. And more than this, who never arrive to a party without even a gift for the host.
But wait!
Go, my friend. Be among our friends. There is much work yet to be done before this one is fit to join them.
There you are. I was hoping you'd make your way over. Busy times. Maybe later. There you are, my friend. Breathe deep. Can you smell it? By the good gods, how bad do I reek? Ugh, shit. Dried devil's blood. Stinks like a skunk squatting in an aboleth's corpse. No wonder. Karlach and I have felled enough Cambions to build a fortress with their horns. Who'd have thought that just one of those fiends held the key to escaping Avernus for good? One of them sported a map and some blueprints. If you want all the gory details, Karlach can fill you in. I've seen him more than a few times, and he's as proud of me as I am of him. He's leading the city's renewal, opened the gates to all newcomers, rebuilt the council from scratch. And he's back in his element, commanding the Flaming Fist with brave heart and no shortage of empathy. The likes of Gortash can bend people's minds with a few chosen words. No tadpole needed. Bane's Chosen primed the Fist for a war they weren't meant to win. He convinced them there was an assassin hiding in every shadow, that cruelty was the correct answer to crisis. With a few exceptions, fathers pardoned every last fist. If my forgiveness not be Tyr's will, so be it. I shall forgive them all the same. His words, not mine. He still believes in the bow and the blade, but with Floric's help, he's teaching the Fist a new lesson. Valor is found not in the wounds you inflict, but in the lives that you have bettered. May they all take it to heart. I think the splinters I made out of the last bone devil I saw speak for themselves. Not to pat myself too hard on the back, but I'm not such a bad ranger if I do say so myself. I've missed you too. The rush of battles we fought, the heart-to-hearts, the nights around the fire, the comfort of knowing I didn't face the unknown alone. If I had to do it all over again, and I'd rather not, to be clear, I can't imagine not having you at my side. Well, that's enough hell talk for the moment. The night's young. You shouldn't go wasting it. Or wasting any of the wine, for that matter. I plan on downing half a bottle myself. Oh, did I say half a bottle? I meant half a dozen.
Leathers has a keen eye for a nice vintage. Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source these? God, I remember one evening when we had to eat 14 apples, some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
Beautiful night. I wish it
You
could last
don't like
forever.
me enjoying myself, do you, Shah? What a surprise.
He snaps the air and wiggles. He's either miming fighting a many-limbed creature or dancing. It's unclear. He is, however, exhausted. He's had plenty of adventures without you. The joy in the owlbear's eyes is clear. He longs for a home and would love to stay with Shadowheart.
Enjoying yourself, I hope. Oh, hush. We'll have each other all to ourselves again soon enough. Let's make tonight count. The only regrets I want to hear about come morning should revolve around an excess of carousing and questionable dancing. Oh, did you now? Come on then, out with it. You didn't. Of course he can come with us. I always regretted we didn't extend the offer after the battle. It was all such a blur. We'll have to find somewhere for him to sleep, of course. He'd get stuck in the door of the cottage. Maybe the barn. It's as warm as anywhere, as long as he gets along with the other animals. I suppose you're right. He's come a long way since he first wandered into our camp. We all have. I can picture the look on my parents' faces already. What's the current count again? 4 dogs, 8 cats, 9 chickens, 6 pigeons, 4 sheep, Daphne the milk cow, that odd little squirrel that keeps jumping on my shoulder, and Buttons, of course. She's just protective of me. I give her a shoulder to perch on and all the nuts she can manage. It's fine. Already passed. Shal must have sensed I was enjoying myself. She'd probably break out in hives. But enough about Shah and her petty barbs. We're here to see old friends and enjoy ourselves. So let's do just that. Have fun. Just don't wear yourself out too quickly. I'm anticipating a long night ahead of us.
There's something strange in your old friend's mouth. What is it? A familiar invitation. He wants you to throw the object he's dropped. But it isn't a ball. It's the astral prism. He whines. Less talk, more throw. Scratch barks merrily in something like agreement.
Might be useful. What's inside?
Minsk has not yet left the table, so this is still the first help.
It's the star of the show, our humble protagonist who forsook Baal to save the city. Our skeletal friend will be very pleased to see I found my way here, despite my invitation getting lost in the post. Always, my friend. But the villain I must needs slay today is my greatest yet. A deadline. You won't be surprised to find I'm soon to publish a little holiday read about our adventures together. I've gotten quite good at replicating your signature, so you needn't even bother with the release form. You might help me with the title, though. I'm considering The Hero and Me. What do you think? Who says you're the titular hero, Oh, I jest, probably. But believe you me, I couldn't have written a word without you. Perhaps, once the manuscript is finished, you'd even be willing to write a foreword? Or better yet, I'd write a draft and you could just sign your name. Better still, I'll sign it for you.
Ah, your success really has been wonderful for my reputation. But you mustn't let me hog your attention all night, my friend. You've many friends to chat to, and I'd love to listen in.
During the party.
Thou searchest for the strongest warrior amongst thine band, Lae'zel, who ascended to the stars. And now she is gone. It is as she wished. It is as all Githyanki wish. I asked thee once, what is the value of a single life? For many of the Gith, it can be measured. A single evening's supper for the Lich Queen. To be ascended is to be consumed. Perhaps that is so. Vlaakith's hunger has known the heads of 50,000 of her subjects. But Lae'zel was, perhaps, greater than the rest. I know not where Lae'zel of Kalir is. I cannot sense her presence. Perhaps thou could. Know this. Her courage never faltered, her soul never waned. She accomplished all she e'er sought out. If she had fallen in battle, she would never have known regret. If she'd been killed in her duty, she would have known herself true. If Vlaakith claimed her, it was Lae'zel's honor to be claimed. What indeed? Prick up thy ears and listen. The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. Thou played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready. For thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you.
Halsin speaks of balance. Your thoughts cannot behave. You only dream of what cerebellum tastes like when it sends the signals to his vestibular system to keep him from wobbling. You shall dine well tonight.
wrong, Wrinkler.
Has a keen eye for a nice vintage.
Fascinating. Thou hast ventured long with thy comrades, shared food, fire, and friendship, but even such adamantine bonds could not prevent thee from ruining my party. I shall not permit you to destroy one another after all thou accomplished. Begone.